This is VWAP, and these are extremely powerful setups using VWAP. This is a bounce play setup, this is a breakout play setup, and this is a high of day / a low of day break setup. For many of you, this is going to drastically improve your trading as it did mine. Top traders like Brian Shannon, Umar Asraf, and even some big institutional traders use some degree of VWAP, and for a good reason. It's simple and effective. VWAP, or volume weighted average price, is an indicator that calculates the average price of a security, weighted by volume, and can be applied over a day, week, month, or year. Day traders use VWAP as dynamic support and resistance to identify bounce plays or breakouts. Institutions rely on VWAP as a benchmark to execute large orders efficiently. They usually aim to buy below or sell above VWAP for better than average prices. Its versatility makes it a valuable tool for both short-term and long-term strategies. VWAP makes reading structure incredibly easy. If VWAP is going up with price above VWAP, it means that we are in an uptrend. If VWAP is going down with price below it, we are in a downtrend. However, if VWAP is flat and price is chopping through VWAP, that means we're in a range. The way I use a VWAP is as an entry signal. I'm either trading off or to a VWAP. Let's have some fun and look at some of my trades using VWAP. I use the 15-minute chart as my higher time frame and the 2-minute chart as my lower time frame. Now, the VWAPs that I hold the most weight to and personally use are time and price-based VWAPs. These include previous day's New York, the daily, which is the start of the futures session, and the current New York VWAP for time-based VWAPs. The high of day and low of day for price-based VWAPs. Now, it's always best to zoom out and look at the big picture. We can see on the 3 trading days of November 26th, December 2nd, and 3rd, we have been in a big uptrend, making higher highs and higher lows. This is context we can use for the following trading days. Zooming in on a specific day, starting with November 26th, we can see that on the 15-minute chart, including the pre-market trading data, price was only below the daily VWAP, which is the black VWAP for the first few hours of the Asian session. At around 2100, we see buyers step in, breaking the daily VWAP and keep price above it. So going into the New York Open, we know that buyers maintained control throughout the entirety of the overnight session. Looking at the 2-minute chart, here are the 2 trades that I took during the New York session. The first one was an inside the opening range New York break, and the second one was also an inside the opening range New York break. The opening range is the range that is set within the first 15 minutes of the New York session. Trade 1 was a very quick scalp since we are trading inside the opening range, but most importantly, if we look at the 15-minute chart again, we have not pulled back to the daily to create a higher low in this big uptrend since around 0300. I can't expect price to continuously extend without a pullback, which is why I want to be quick in this trade. For my second trade on this day, looking at the 15-minute chart, we can see that price retests the previous day's New York VWAP, which we can use as support alongside with the daily VWAP. The thing I'd like to highlight is how well we are pinning the previous day's New York and daily VWAPs, telling me that buyers are stepping in strongly here. So after this 15-minute bar closes, I can get in, which I do. Since this is an inside the opening range trade, I want to trade from the bottom of the range to the middle of the range. I could re-enter off the retest of the New York VWAP on the 2-minute chart for a trend continuation play, since we have made the necessary pullback on the 15-minute chart. Looking back on the day, these are all the trades that I could have taken, so I have marked these up to study them in the future. Moving on to the next day, December 2nd, I only took 1 trade this day due to it being a big news week and price action was choppy. Looking at the 15-minute chart, we can see that price was barely moving overnight. We stayed below the daily and previous day's New York VWAP until 0700 when we broke and held above both VWAPs for the first time all night. It was unclear if we could stay above throughout the open, so with this uncertainty. I stayed light. Sellers have been in control for the majority of the overnight session. Without a proper pullback going into the open, I was still looking for shorts until buyers showed me that they are in control. Looking at the 2-minute chart, I took a short for this reason off of the break of the New York VWAP. Again, since I am trading inside the opening range, I want to play the range properly. Middle of the range to the bottom of the range. If I allow myself to get greedy, then this is a good way to give back profits, since it is not likely for price to just run from the first break of the range. Looking back on this day, these are all the trades that I could have taken, so I have marked these up to study them for the future. I could have taken longs later on in the session, since on the 15-minute chart, we later see buyers are able to defend the daily. For the last day, December 3rd, I only took one trade since this was an ugly day of price action, and you can see why. On the 15-minute chart, we can see that price is just a mess. When we think sellers have control, buyers took control back, then sellers took control back, and then buyers finally took control back once again. It was a very flip-flop day. Price was cutting through VWAPs like it was sliced cheese. Looking at my trade, it was not the best setup I could have taken. We had news right after the open, and I should have waited for the news, but I forgot. Sorry. However, the idea of shorts are still valid, since after the news, we can see price rejecting the previous day's New York VWAP, which is where the daily VWAP is as well. This tells us that buyers are not able to take back control. Luckily, I was able to ride out the drawdown without getting stopped out and took profit at the bottom of the opening range. Looking back on the day, these are all the trades that I could have taken, so I marked these up to study them for the future, but in all honesty, on bad chopping days like these, I am happy to stay out of the market. Trading in a market such as this is a good way to wipe out any profits that you've made for the week. But I hope that I have been able to do a good job in presenting VWAP and how I trade using VWAP. Anything I say in this video is meant as entertainment, not financial advice or expert advice. I need to cover my butt since a lot of people would just blindly follow what someone is saying. This video is a good step in the right direction to discovering more about VWAP, but if you want insight from a proven successful trader, you should learn from Brian Shannon himself, who is known as the godfather of VWAP, through some of the podcasts that he's been featured on, but most importantly, you should read his book, Maximum Trading Gains with Anchored VWAP. But if you found this video to be entertaining and you like the way I trade, you should watch this video next where I talk a lot about raw price action. I will see you all there, and deuce everyone.